I forgot to call up. Anyway, still nice to have everybody here in the audience. There you go. I'm glad you're here. Now you can actually hear what I said. I'm sorry. I'm out of practice, I guess, after a month. Okay, so roll call. We're all here, which is nice. We've got a full house. Who's doing my Pledge of Allegiance today? Oh, you're up. I know. I see it. Okay. Do we have any public comments?
I have one. Bob Miller?
Hi, good evening.
You know your 3-minute drill, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll be shorter than that. Yeah, my name is Bob Miller. I live in Lake Forest for 5 years, and my greatest love is my wife, and my second love is pickleball. And just wanted to say thank you to the City of Lake Forest for putting on the demonstration for pickleball at Pittsford Park, which was a nice location, and I wish it was pickleball there. And but we did a good job. We had a good turnout, and I think it was very successful, and I would hope that it would happen again. And so thanks again.
Mr. Gonzalez, did you want to speak under public speaking, or did you want to speak on an agenda item?
I want to introduce myself. Yeah. My name is Mary Gonzalez.
I think you want to speak under the field
Okay.
allocation
Okay.
process. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
I have no more under public comments at this time.
Perfect. Okay. Presentations. Oh, I love it when you guys come from our ACT liaison. So who's going to come and do our little report?
We have a member from the ACT that's going to be presenting the report for the month.
And thank you. And I just want to say I appreciate your coming, driving. Thank you. And I know you're probably going, I really don't like to do this, but believe you me, it's good experience.
Yes.
It really is. Public speaking, it's hard. A lot of people, I mean, when I first started, I had to learn it. Anyway, so thank you. Go.
Hello, my name is Jacek Obirek, and it is a pleasure to be here representing Lake Forest Advisory Committee for Teens. I am here to update the Parks and Recreation Commission about what the Advisory Committee for Teens has been working on these past months. We have been quite busy in April and May. In April, we volunteered for Bunny Blast and the Special Needs Resource Fair, providing the craft station for both and assisting with other necessary tasks. In May, ACT members volunteered with the City of Lake Forest's Camp Preview Day and assisted staff in demonstrating what kinds of activities will be at the Lake Forest camps. We also participated in a very successful Aliso Creek cleanup this past weekend. We are working at putting together the crafts for Dino Days. We are looking forward to the summer months, so with so many special events for us to volunteer at. We hope to see you all at Dino Days. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you so much. And Dino Days is a 2-day event, right? June 3rd and 4th. Okay. I plan on being there at least one day. And thank you, because I know, did you guys have fun working all those crafts at Bunny Blast and stuff? Thank you. Yeah, because I was there at Bunny Blast, too. Yeah, so thank you. And now you've got all these summer things coming up. That'll be great. Because don't you guys normally do, like, popcorn at movie nights and such? See, that'll be fun. All right, okay. Anyway, thank you again. So next, I'm turning it over.
Yes. Chair Herron and our commissioners, I would like to introduce to you our new Recreation Supervisor, Karen Rice. So she is new in this position, but Karen has been with the city since 2003. And prior to coming to the city of Lake Forest, she worked for the cities of Anaheim, Laguna Niguel, and Huntington Beach as a recreation leader and also as a contract instructor. So Karen worked with me in Huntington Beach as a contract instructor. And when I came here, I said, Ms. Rice, come on down to Lake Forest with me. So Karen will be working with our senior programs in the clubhouse and helping us to get ready for our new 100-year home. So we're very happy to have her in her new shoes, and she will be is very excited and will be more excited about moving. Right? Yes, yes. So we're glad to have her here.
I know, Karen, it's always been a pleasure to volunteer with you, and I appreciate now that you've taken on a bigger role, and you're going to be awesome. Thank you. Right? So now everybody knows Karen, and she's going to be awesome with our seniors because she already knows them. All right, so we're done with that part, correct? Okay, consent calendar. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the April 20th meeting? All right, are there any changes, corrections? No? Okay.
Move to approve.
All right, second, okay. All in favor, please vote with our little gadget, please. And we look. Big reveal. It's not working. All right. Hey, we're rolling along here. Item number 4. Who's presenting
Yes, I will be doing that.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. At its meeting on April 20th, Public Works and Community Services presented to the Commission a report related to field renovations and conditions of athletic fields, which was completed by the PRZ group. At the conclusion of the report, the Commission voted to support staff's recommendation to reduce field allocations with minimal disruption to user groups and to request $500,000 to augment existing maintenance practices. Now, the following is the list of staff's recommendations that were approved by the Commission on that night. To reduce allocated field usage by approximately 350 hours at the sports park soccer fields in the early mornings and the late evenings. To request a CIP for $500,000 to repair heavily used areas at the sports park soccer fields. To relocate some soccer practices to underutilized fields such as Pittsford, Kavanaugh, Concourse, and Mountain View parks. To implement additional turf maintenance procedures as recommended by the PRZ group that were in the report which was presented in its April 20th meeting. A letter was then sent to the sports park soccer user groups the first week of May to inform that the upcoming recommendations that the Commission would be making to Council regarding field allocations and maintenance. Per the Commission's request that evening, staff is presenting a menu of options to reduce additional field use and maximize maintenance practices. The Parks and Recreation Commission may recommend to further reduce field use and also consider any of the following options to the City Council. Here are the following options. Limit field allocations on sports park soccer fields to a specific number of hours. Reduce the number of sports park tournaments on the soccer fields. Complete additional field renovation closures during the year, so to add another closure. Restrict field allocation permits to youth groups only. Raise fees charged to sports user groups for soccer fields. And then any of those options or a combination of options, a menu of those can be added together to what we've already had approved, and then that recommendation will be going to City Council. Did we want to have Manny speak at this point?
We do have one public speaker, so it's at your discretion if you'd like him to go now or go after we've reviewed.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
I want to introduce myself. My name is Manny Gonzalez. I represent the Saddleback USA Soccer League. The first time I come to the City Hall was October 1998, and the mayor is a nice person, and she said this is the first league in Lake Forest. Well, through the year, we are working with the community, supporting the kids. We are overproviding more cheapest in the area, and we are very happy to come to the meeting to see faces for, I know for long time in Rosenberg, yeah, and I'm very happy to. It's a dream. In 1998, it's a dream. The sport field now is here, and we are very happy to start to play this year. And well, I'm feeling, my emotions are very high now to speaking with all of you, and we want to working with the community. It's very important to understand clubs are very expensive. The community needs a cheap program for the soccer, especially for the kids. And well, that's it. It's Saturday USA Soccer League. Thank you. Our kids start at 5, and it's our older player is 65 now. I want to, yeah. I want to show the older person in the league. Can I do pass? These are coach and player. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have questions.
Manny, when you first came down here, your league was primarily adult, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty much all adults, and you were using school facilities?
Yeah, but
Saddleback Valley Unified School District facilities at the time?
yeah, we playing with the kids. You remember when you are near Toro?
Mm-hmm.
You are Spar. You play with the. I think so. You are working with the baseball. That's right.
You were at Serrano primarily, one of the places
Yeah.
that you were permitted.
Yeah.
Are you using any more of their fields, school district fields?
Yes, we're still using.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you have, how big is the league now?
Now it's in the. Well, now it's more bigger. We
How
have
big?
more
How many
kids.
players?
We are talking about maybe 1,000, more than 1,000.
Okay. And are you permitted on any Lake Forest fields right now?
Yes.
Where are you at right now?
El Sport Park, we had a time at 9, 2 days, 8:30 to 10 o'clock.
At night?
Yeah.
So that's, I would assume, primarily adults.
We want for the kids to, we're waiting for the kids on Sunday.
Okay, I'm confused. You said, Bill, help me along here. Tuesday and their allocations?
They're out there Tuesdays, 8:30 to 10. It's their adult league. I think what Manny's trying to say is they're looking for extra space for their Sunday
Okay.
youth
For their
usage.
youth league on Sunday. Okay. How much of the league is local residents?
I think so, 80%.
Okay. Verified, do you,
We haven't collected any rosters from Manny's group. We do put that information out to all the different groups that they have the opportunity to provide residency, which is a driver's license, utility bill,
Right.
something to match their rosters. I have not received those yet, but we have given that information to Manny, and I did tell him if he was able to provide that, it would change his as far as the way that we allocate.
well, in other words, if it is verified by you that the residency factor is 85% or 22% or whatever, that would then put it per the policy into the appropriate group.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions on the the options here. When it says restrict field allocation permits to youth groups only, does that mean you're just keeping it for like 5 through 18? I mean, what are the restrictions on, what were your thoughts on that one?
Well, it would be definitely something that you guys would send, give us the recommendation, but it would be strictly, I mean, there's a clear cut what's youth and what's adult. 18 and over is considered adult, and everybody else would be youth.
And then just one other comment on the reduction of the sports. One thing that I'm actually a proponent of the tournament, allowing the tournaments at the sports park, and obviously my daughter plays club soccer, so she'll be playing both club and high school next year, so I'll have a double whammy. But for me, the tournaments, I mean, I'm totally in agreement with raising the fees charged to the sports user groups, because I know the clubs would be willing to pay more, but I think the tournaments are a great revenue generator for the city. I mean, when my daughter plays a tournament, they're usually three-day tournaments, sometimes 2, but over the summer, and 9 times out of 10, we're traveling. And so these teams come from all over the place. We have hotels right here. We have, restaurants right here. So I think that's a great boost for our economy, the tournament. So I'm happy to put it on record that I'm against reducing the tournaments. That would be one area that I would totally support not reducing, because it is a revenue generator for the city because of the hotels and the restaurants and such.
Let me, if I may, piggyback on that. I think our problem, if we can use that, or challenge, is twofold. We have been the victims of our own success, for one thing, and looking at a situation where to do what we have been doing and then just tack on $500,000 like it was nothing to speak about to the CIP, that's a repetitive thing, because we now go fix it, put the Band-Aid on it, and in a year and a half it'll be bleeding, gushing blood again, and then we do maybe the same thing. So I think, quite frankly, for the sports park, and that is the prime area of focus and concern right now, we need to do several things. From 30,000 feet, we need to get rid of this recurring $500,000 every, I'm going to say 2 years, because that's what it's going to be on one hand, and we're also going to have to be better stewards of how it is utilized. And, I've seen in my experiences over the years many, many fields, and there's a commonality between the ones that look good, and most of them are municipal or school district, obviously. There is a limitation on the time they're used, for one, and number two, if they're used like these fields are used, all you have to do is look at the field. I don't care if it's Irvine, I don't care if it's Mission Viejo, San Juan, anywhere. They look like trash. You don't even have to throw the trash out. The fields look like they're trash. And most of the cities don't necessarily have a facility like what we have up here, and they don't want to put out the money for the basic fields, which are very often one step above a school field. They're not a sports park. They're fields or a field complex. So playing from 8 in the morning till 10 at night and basically having it 6.5 days a week is way too much. It's ridiculous. And that's going to mean, again, some things for our users, and everybody's going to have to be aware that there is a pecking order, that our first duty is to serve our residents, and then go from that. Okay, then there's two sub-prongs. I mentioned before the recurring $500,000 medical bill that Public Works will be presenting on a regular basis. And there's in the last paragraph also, and there's been some commentary before, about looking at taking the hit one time, and there is maintenance on artificial fields, but it's not near as much and they don't get torn up that much, and say, okay, instead of doing this for a limited part of the sports park, let's take a very serious look, and it may not be done tomorrow, but over the next few months, maybe it'll have to be into the next budget, that we don't want to do this again. So item one is we're probably going to have to limit usage right now to keep them looking halfway decent until the point that everybody involved is on the same boat about converting those fields to artificial, to synthetic turf. And there's a million different kinds that are out there that can be used, and depending on what you want to put on them, and it's an investment in the facility. It's an investment in what the city can offer. And it's, yeah, more upfront, but you can amortize that over a period of about 10 years, probably. Mr. Neves will probably get at that. Then the second other finger on that of looking at some of the things that we do with the fields. And I think we have a pretty good mix right now with the allocation of 11 weekends during the year, considering there are times when, in the case of tournaments in either baseball or soccer, which are the primary two users of the facility, that pretty much encompasses a good half of the playing seasons, that they don't play year-round. The prime play is during a 3.5 month period for each sport. And I agree that tournaments should be something that bring in revenue to the city. And I don't know if this is a time we should, because I also wanted to address the tournament policy, which I'd asked for, and I'm glad it was included. And I think maybe we can address that separately. Would that be probably a better way to do it, as opposed to all at once? And how we could work that to the best benefit of the city.
And if I can have Bill respond to Commissioner Porter's and yours as well.
Sure.
Regarding the tournaments and the actual, the amount of money that we do bring in and the revenue and who it's actually serving.
No, yeah, one other question, and then feel free to respond. The other thing that I've thought about too, just kind of looking over this, something to consider, and again, this may be not the place, but maybe this is another discussion too, is what about considering taking a look at all of our parks, because the sports park obviously is our flagship, but looking at all the parks and looking at the user groups, possibly delegating or rearranging where the different user groups play, because if the sports park is our flagship, and that's the one where we can charge more in terms of to the clubs and such, maybe that's allocated more toward the clubs because it's generating revenue, which helps offset the $500,000 for usage. I mean, these are just some thoughts and things to think about or consider. I don't know if that can be done or not done, but we do have so many parks within the city that.
Well, I think, can I answer that from an experience level? There's only so much that you can take out of the turnip, whether it's a club or a, clubs are nonprofits too, but you can be a nonprofit no matter what, you write everything off as an operating expense, and you do that. But the facility, the prime use of the facility is for Lake Forest residents, the city, its inhabitants, whatever the local groups, and the other part of it shouldn't be reserved just for them. And I also know that large tournaments are not, sure, they would like what we have at the sports park if every field could be that, but you can take one that I've followed for over 15 years, West Coast, when they first started their tournament, it was a very small thing. Now it runs from San Clemente to Huntington Beach and hits every city in between them, even if it's only one field in the city. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter if it's a synthetic, if it's a showcase, so to speak, or if it's a field the city has or the school district may be willing to let them. And somebody, I don't know if you knew Gary Sparks when he was alive, but Gary was one of the very, very knowledgeable people about soccer and Coast Soccer League and that in Orange County, and Gary was a very dear friend. And he basically looked at that and he said, when it comes down to it, a field is a field is a field. It gives the players the opportunity and experience. And frankly, in a lot of cases, it doesn't matter what level the player is playing at, whether it be a first-year player at any age or somebody who's played since they are 4 and now is playing for a elite level travel team. The number of players out of the 5.6 million, I think, in soccer in the U.S. that are considered youth under USYSA that progress out of the past high school level. Anybody have an idea what that might be? It's less than 1%. So, again, I'm going to use the word facetiously, to sacrifice the crown jewel for just one entity per se. I think for their needs, we should also look at some of the other fields, because they all do need fields. The ranch is closing up. They're kicking everybody out of there down in Laguna Niguel, San Juan. And everybody should have their part of the inventory, the park's inventory that's out there, as opposed to one getting this and one getting that. And I think we come up with a healthy mix. We look at improving the facility, that we can maybe put a little bit more use on it, and then we go from there. And that's why I wanted to address the tournament thing separately, because there's some issues in there that I think can help do exactly what you said, which is important, that it helped the revenue recovery and it helped the department to be able to ask for that kind of money, showing what we're bringing in.
Yep, and we can bring back that discussion about the tournaments at a later time as a separate portion to this. Than this report, which would be something good, because we want to talk about as well the hotel component of that. I think Jim and I have had that discussion in the past as well.
It's not going to be long. So we selected 11 weekends per year carefully to not interrupt the seasons of the different group users that we do have. Our primary goal was to service our local residents first, and then on to the different club groups and so forth, and wanted to make sure that the tournament dates that we that we went with worked well around those schedules. So as you can see in this report, we selected 11 dates. We're talking, out of those 11 tournaments, anywhere from $22,000 to $25,000 per year is what we collect. So it's not a large amount. Mainly in 2016, there was, looks like about 6 or 7 that were soccer. We had some baseball. So just to kind of give you an idea of what revenue we are bringing in on that, you can see that, between $22,000 and $25,000 isn't a whole lot, but it does affect the hotels and so forth. So we want to make sure that, we still have those. We try to be selective also around the field closures, because once those fields, Public Works opens those fields back up, we almost immediately want to have a tournament scheduled that following weekend. And then for those fall group users, it's right back to square one where we were at in the beginning of the year, where they're completely torn up and so forth. So it's just a little bit of insight on kind of why we selected those weekends.
I got a question. Can I interject a question, or should I wait? When we talk about revenue, we have to be careful, because the revenue goes into the city treasury. Does not go back to defray costs within the community services. So I want to make that clear, that whatever revenue is generated goes into the city fund, and it's not ticketed or niched to come back for reimbursement of expenses. Thank you.
But it can be identified as from where it came. Right. So even though it goes in the general fund, in making the case for spending and making a sizable investment, which in its own right would negate the Band-Aid $500,000 every couple of years, and then if we address the revenue aspect as a separate thing, then the director can put forth the discussion item of that our revenue recovery rate has increased by so much. And obviously, you look at all the sources of money to fund something, but if you have the part that directly impacts, which is community services, and they're bringing in more money, that's the department is doing its part, in doing it. And that's why, I think, and I will ask later, if we just work on this item tonight, that we very quickly thereafter agendize, for maybe the next meeting, the tournament policy as a fixed agenda item, because that's going to then justify some of the things probably we're asking for here, as opposed to saying, we're going to do the same old stuff, but we'd like $3.5 million for artificial.
One quick comment too is that in terms of the revenue, the tournament, I would assume the tournament fees would go back to Parks and Rec, correct? No?
No, they go in the general fund.
Okay.
But again, you can earmark,
Okay.
The
department
revenue
keeps
will
books.
reflect where it's coming from, but it goes directly into the general fund.
into the general fund.
Okay. Okay, and then one other comment too, just more for Jim. The clubs are not non-Lake Forest residents. Just to kind of clarify, I know we say, AYSO, it's that a lot of the club kids are Lake Forest
No, I know.
residents. I mean,
I
half of my
understand.
daughter's team are Lake
Right.
Forest residents. Right.
Yeah. So you're looking at really a singular team.
Right, but I'm
First
saying there's,
organization.
within each of the clubs, there are,
Yeah, there are Lake Forest,
lot of
but from the
Lake Forest
tournament
residents.
standpoint, I don't have any problem, like with those number of assigned tournament weekends. I'm not concerned that they have to be the entire playing population, has to be 85% Lake Forest, because it's never going to be. You got them coming from all over the half of the
Right.
country.
well, and that's the
literally.
benefit, that, again, this is another topic, but,
Yeah.
for the tournaments to bring in more
The revenue
to
and
the
how to
city.
attack
Right.
that. So that's why I'm thinking we need to agendize that and
Right.
talk about that separately.
Right, for
Okay,
sure.
so can we have Bill finish? You weren't done yet, were you? Were you? You're good. Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't cut you off.
Unless there's other questions.
Okay, are there any
I
questions?
have a question.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so from what the recommendations that were made last month, it said that part of it was we would reduce the usage by 350 hours. Was that taking into account the additional reallocating soccer playing time to other fields? Or is that going to reduce the hour usage even more once we take that into account?
It's all going to be taken into consideration. The actual reduction of the 350 hours is only dealing with the sports park.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, like, if there's like 20 teams playing on the sports park, And by reducing the time that they can get on and the time that they have to get off, that's 350 hours.
Right.
So by then kicking off like an additional 10 teams to go to other parks, it's going to reduce the hours even more. It's still going to be, there's still people going to be playing nonstop from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
The actual hours are reduced. So say, for instance, our model from the last report was instead of starting at 8 in the morning, we're going to start at 10 in the morning.
Right.
Instead of going until 10 at night, we're cutting back till 9 at night. So it's not necessarily user groups that are being eliminated. It's just the hours that are being eliminated.
Right.
But does that clarify?
Yeah, that clarifies.
Okay.
And keeping in mind, too, that if they were to be moved to other parks, they're not lit. So we don't have lit. Only other lit fields are at Heroes.
Right.
So there is some chance to move them someplace else, but there's also no lit lights at those other fields. So
Yeah.
Right.
You're kind of replacing
Yeah,
some of those hours.
exactly.
Maybe from the 350, if I have the right number in my head, that you're reducing the sports park by, you might recover 180.
right,
at the-
by moving them to another
non-lit
field for those
field.
off hours. Right.
Right.
So in the end, nobody's really going to get hurt very much.
Do we have?
Yeah, I have one more question related to this. And maybe if I could have the liberty to ask a user sitting quietly in the audience on my right side, Tim, if you had at the sports park what is now grass area that you can configure any given way, any weekend, and you line it for under 8 one weekend and under 14 the next weekend and do whatever, and hopefully the stripes you put down show in the scorched earth that you're playing on, if you had a just artificial turf carpet there, and there's ways to utilize that and restripe it, could you do that, or would you be okay with that?
If it was artificial turf, could we use
Correct.
it in...
It wouldn't be marked. It would just be a
Unmarked.
carpet of artificial, and because you can always take and order, let's say, an under 16, under 14 field, and that's painted in. And then you can do things by putting another field in it or 2 fields across it, but when you get all that paint and permanent and temporary, so to speak, in there, it gets a little bit confusing for everybody, and it kind of looks kind of ugly. But if you had just the carpet itself, and you decided for that season, the way you were allocating because of your enrollment and age groups and that, you would need 3 under 14 fields. So you paint those under 14 fields, and then come the spring, and your under 14 population is very small, but your under 12 typically is very big in the spring. Now you can put under 12 fields on there.
Yes. My name is Tim Van Werkum. I'm a Lake Forest resident, and I am the Regional Commissioner for AYSO Region 85. We have approximately a little over 1,500 players in the region that are, and about over 90% residency for the players. I represent players from the under 5 division all the way up through under 18 division for that. To answer your question, yes, we could reline the fields. We've worked with Bill and the city when we've needed to reline the sports park turf fields. We've used a specific a graphite, it's not paint,
No.
but it's an adhesive that allows us to temporarily line the field. So if that entire grass area was a turf, we could work with the city to properly line it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think, again, that should be really among the, call it alternatives that are in here, or recommendations that I think a strong one should be, and especially we have users saying it's not going to hurt our play and our doing with the facility, that we should really go full bore with putting artificial field on that recommendation list. and get away from this grass and the bumps and when it gets torn up and the divots and the 500,000 every couple of years. So, thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your input.
This is the beginning of preliminary discussions. By no means that we're going to come to any conclusions other than just on the discovery level, trying to look at what our alternatives are. Because, quite frankly, 350 reducing hours is just a drop in the bucket because we have a substantial problem of overusage. And therefore, over what period of time can we anticipate that we'll get back to a reasonable level of usage? That's going to be very challenging, given the usage as I see it now with the number of tournaments and the number of youth participation and so forth, because we're well on our way entrenched with this program that's been going on since the sports club park has been open. And even though we would like to feel that we can get alternative fields, that in itself is also challenging. I mean, there's only so many fields available to do that. So I would be very much interested to see what's realistic. I'm more concerned about the fact that reducing the usage hours of 350, which is quite a distance from where we need to be, how are we going to do that in a realistic time frame before we get hit from Public Works for another allocation of substantial $500,000?
Where do we need to be? My understanding was where we needed to be was at a 350-hour reduction to make it somewhat feasible. And there's still, even with that, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, or staff, please correct me, that was the reduction that...
Correct. That's
and then there's still going to be ongoing maintenance.
Right,
Maybe
correct.
not 500,000, but maybe only 400,000 or something.
Right.
Well, the point is that with still the usage factor is such that we're still going to be faced with a similar problem maybe into the future, even though we may be able to reduce it by 350 hours, we're still going to have substantial exposure still.
Okay, my answer to that is we're here playing first aid. We're like playing doctor. Let's address the problem. What is the fix? The fix, and it was mentioned by, I can't remember if it was Mike McGonaghy or the gentleman from PRZ, that if you get artificial turf put down, you got a whole different ballgame to deal with. So instead of trying to finagle, do we need 3 more hours off here, or can we do that or that? Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. I agree. Maybe we shouldn't use even artificial from 8 in the morning till 9:30 or 10 at night. That's a lot for any facility. But let's give ourselves and the people who get to use the facility the best opportunity, which is afforded through making that investment in artificial grass. And kind of a conversation, being here when this all was starting to happen, I don't know what in my mind went awry, that when we were all enamored with the 2 full-size artificial fields and enamored with this beautiful green area that was coming there, that literally none of us sat up and said, wait a minute, that beautiful green area in one season of play is going to look like Sherman's March to the Sea during the Civil War. And said, why don't we just look at putting in artificial turf in the whole thing? And we won't have that problem and that maintenance problem. Because this is in addition, what we're looking at now, to the 7-figure annual budgeted maintenance for that facility. So,
I think we're chasing the tail here.
well, I'll chase tails, Victor.
No, I
Saying-
really believe that the solution to me, in looking at researching the artificial turf alternative, is the only alternative for us at this present time. We can limp along in trying to reduce hours and so forth, but I think concurrent to that consideration, we should be giving serious consideration for budgeting funds for artificial at a specific time frame, just to build on your comment. So I think we need to be talking both areas concurrently. all we're trying to do is damage control here, as I see it, and looking at the existing fields and limping along to try to meet the needs of the community. I see this as a very challenging task, if it's even practical, that we will even get close to where we need to be before we have another allocation of $500,000 of maintenance.
Well, we have to trust in staff. Staff is saying that number at least would postpone that big hunk of change being paid. And I agree with you, we're not going to make a decision, nor will the council in one meeting to say, yep, let's just go to artificial turf and
Right.
$3.5 million. Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
Right,
Somebody
exactly.
go out and figure out what it's all about.
Right.
But I think that if we all feel that would be, or at least the majority of us feel that artificial is part of the overall solution, then I think the next thing we should do is ask staff to, in an appropriate time frame in that, look into it. I'm sure it'll be done in conjunction with Public Works, and to figure out what is the best offering out there, because there are multiple. It's not like the old days. You had AstroTurf, and it was all AstroTurf, no matter what. But you have different types of product for different use levels, that a study be done on what would be the most beneficial type of carpet to put down there. So, and I think if we can get a majority on that and ask staff to look into that, that at least can be part of the presentation and the recommendation that we bring forth later to go to the city council. That we, yes, we do the reduction, we look at that, but also part of it, yes, we endorse, we already have the $500,000, and that we also request the consideration based on a study that is being done within our department, Public Works, combination of whatever, to look at the appropriate type of artificial field to be considered and a cost factor to it.
So tonight, staff is looking for the recommendation from the commission to go to the council, since this item is connected with the CIP with that $500,000. So we do need to come up with a recommendation to move forward.
Okay?
Now, it says here on page 4 that converting national so converting to synthetic turf at a cost of approximately $3,500,000.
That is the quote that I received from Public Works, yes. So we've already been doing some research, and after this report was written, we've been talking to them quite consistently regarding synthetic turf. And that's where we stand with the estimates that they've received.
Okay, because I know I was at the city council budget meeting, and that was brought up. They felt that maybe that's the way to go, and it sounds like.
And that was part of the topic of conversation, and that's how the ball started rolling.
Yes, okay. Oh, yes, go ahead.
One more quick question. Have you talked to or looked at perhaps like the Irvine's Great Park and to see what you have? Okay, because that would be another one that I would totally tap into and see, because they probably have the same problem or similar problem. I know they're adding fields though or something, aren't they? I know they're under construction. 42.
Yeah, and we've researched several surrounding cities and so forth, and what they do with their field allocations. And Irvine, for example, with 42 fields, they're able to take the number of group users they have, shift them over to 22 of those fields, close the other 20 fields, and vice versa, so they're staying in good condition, natural grass that is. So they have the little bit of flexibility, as to where we only have the 3 grass fields at the sports park, the 2 synthetic turf fields, and then really 8 or 9 other locations that we can actually, allocate to group users. So we're on a whole different playing scale than they are. So,
well, the other opportunity, we can call it opportunity study type thing, is that the city moves forward, acquires the Nikasi Nursery, and you make it into a about 60 or 70 field soccer type field, and you can do the same thing. Let half of them rest and half of them are used, and that was a joke, by the way, I'm sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. that was, interesting enough, it's more fact than fiction about, well, it was about 15 years ago. There was a proposal made to the family for just that, and the father, who was still very active at the time, a very cultural thing about selling land, and it was the sons now are basically running the business, and so there's an interest in, doing that. But I think, again, and maybe I'll make a motion that, and then we can friendly amendment to that, that the items on page 4 are all things that I think are...
You mean page 3? Or
Page 4, on the back. The back of Laura's report. Does yours look like... Well, I guess it does. Yeah. There's some bigger print. I don't know. Anyway, that we just add to that the, the recommendation for, going forward with creating a plan to replace the grass fields with artificial carpeting. Because the first 4, those are givens. I mean, it's kind of got to be done. There isn't much choice in any of those items.
comment. We'll be back here again maybe in the next few months to have another discussion. Seems to me we should put in motion, and I agree with Commissioner Rosenberg, to start seriously considering artificial grass now in increments as part of our recommendations to the council.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion.
That basically covers, the motion basically covering the 4 items kind of verbatim.
Right, okay.
That's there,
Uh-huh.
adding like an item 5 to, initiate. I'm going to look to staff. Is it better to say a study or, the groundwork, which is not the right word really, that would culminate in looking at artificial turf replacement of the current grass area as the ultimate solution, even though that doesn't have...
I would feel comfortable for staff to come back with recommendations, the fact that we want to evaluate and come forward with specific recommendations for implementing artificial grass.
So are you amending his motion?
You want to add it here to this?
I do.
Yeah, okay. 'Cause
I want to amend the motion to add that as another item 5.
Yeah, well...
In addition to the 4 items that we have
Right.
here that we're voting on, for recommendation to council. Now, we can word it strictly from this fact that staff will be evaluating and coming back with specific recommendations for implementing artificial grass. But I think we should start that process now if we're going to go through this process.
Right. I think you guys are
And I think they already started.
We just need to word it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. So the last paragraph of the report is basically what you're saying. In the future, as staff evaluates the outcome of changes to field allocations and maintenance procedures, the commission may wish to consider converting natural turf fields and the commons at the sports park to synthetic turf at a cost of approximately... So the report is saying that we can just make that number 5.
Can I recommend a change of 2 words?
Sure.
The commission may wish to consider, but to make that the commission recommends consideration
Yes.
of converting. May wish is kind of...
That's a little
I hope
wishy-washy.
I get it for Christmas.
Right.
May I ask the chair to put together the motion, please?
Of course. Yes, I understand. I, too, take minutes. All right, so I'm sorry, but we have a motion, and now we have an amendment to that motion, and with your permission, we will get it correct. How's that? All right, is that okay with our 2 commissioners here?
Yeah.
So, this is what I'm going to say. All right, so we would like to make the motion that we adopt or go ahead with items 1 through 4 on page 4 of the report. And in addition, we're going to add item 5 which states the part where we want staff to evaluate the outcome of changes to field allocations and maintenance procedure. The commission recommends considering converting natural turf fields and the commons area at the sports park to synthetic turf. All right, and we would like...
period.
Oh, period? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, period. So,
I don't think we have to scare them right away with a lump sum.
okay, so is that, so then this is the motion?
I would second that motion.
Can I ask one last
Yes,
disclaimer?
Tim, because it is you started it.
Yeah, I started it. I've heard that thousands of times in my life. The commons area would obviously have to go to artificial if we allow playing on it, because I didn't realize how badly it had been destroyed. To me, the common area is not the ideal facility for sports because it's not level, and it's on a slope, and it does affect anything with a ball on the ground and things like that. So I would just maybe very quickly ask my colleagues up here if we just strike the commons and just stay with the sports field and leave the commons as a public area for concerts. And I think, again, if we left that then as natural grass for concerts and, maybe if somebody having a big picnic or something, it wouldn't trash it.
Which was the original intention of that area.
Yeah, right, true.
The only time that we use the common grass with group users is overflow traffic. So if we have a tournament and there needs to be overflow, we would put somebody out there. But it is selected just for mom and dad to go out and kick the soccer ball around or have a picnic or whatever they want.
I still say just let's not, mom and dad can go kick the soccer ball around their backyard or watch their kid play. We don't need to provide a facility. I would, and that was kind of one of my notes I had crossed out too, just to take the comments out, leave everything else the same.
Okay, so we would like to amend again the previous motion, and with that we would like to strike the word or the words the commons area. So that way we will just be converting the natural turf fields at the sports park to synthetic turf. Now, are you still okay with that second?
Second, yeah.
Thank you. All right. Now, we have an amended motion
Second.
that has been seconded. So now I would like us to vote. Oh, is there any more discussion? Let's ask that. I think we've discussed it to death. All right. So,
I
I'm
have
sorry.
one clarification point.
Oh, another clarification. I got a minute again.
Should we be entering into these recommendations prior to vote with a timeline as far as when we will hear back from staff as far as their evaluation for artificial turf? I'm just raising a point because the sense of urgency is, quite frankly, very severe, and I want to make sure that there's timely response from the recommendation back to the commission.
We're looking to have the recommendation this evening so that we can move forward with the CIP projects that this would be related to. So we could definitely keep you updated as it goes forward from there. You may go to CIP and the council may say,
True. Yeah.
we're not doing this. But if your recommendation tonight is to say, yes, we would like to move forward with items 1 through 4 plus number 5, then we would keep you appraised of what was going on as it moved from the CIP project forward.
Do you have just a ballpark idea as to time frame? I know you've got everything else on the plate.
Once they, let's say council said, yes, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
It would take some time, we'd have to go out to bid, we'd do all that stuff. I think what we'd be trying to do would be within the next year and a half or two, because then you're still going to have the field maintained for next year.
Yeah. No,
They would
okay.
probably try to do it sooner rather than later, so we do not have to go have the expenditure of the $500,000 to put the Band-Aid on it.
That's why I wanted to hear, because
Right.
at least we start the process. I realize there's a number of considerations when you're going through this process.
Right, and I can't speak for council or Public Works, but my thought process would be that it would be as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
So long as it's prioritized
Yeah.
in such a way that it's not going to be on the back burner.
I think that council's recommendation at the budget, it was pretty, Loretta was there as well, it was pretty much move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reason.
Is there, I like the priority word, maybe at the end of
We're amending it again?
of all fields, to put in, staff will be evaluating something that this evaluation process, or the commission will take the heat for it, the commission considers this evaluation process a priority. Because you don't do anything without a time frame attached to it
Okay.
in the real world.
That's
Not
from my
maybe in
business
other worlds.
background.
And I agree with that.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
that language is in there.
Okay.
Okay.
So, it has been suggested that we amend it by adding, this is a priority.
Commission considers this recommendation a priority.
Thank you. All right. Now, Carol, are you okay with this? You've got it all down now, this motion? I just want to make sure that, because I know you've got to type up the minutes, and this is important because we have to do it properly.
Okay, motion is that item 1 through 4 of the report be
Verbatim.
recommended? Be implemented? Be recommended to council? Okay. Write that in there. In addition to item 5,
No, it is item 5. It's
okay, in addition, item 5, staff to evaluate converting natural turf fields to synthetic turf fields with exception of the commons. Timeline, and then, of course, commission considers this recommendation a priority.
Carol, start out again with, how did you start number 5?
Okay.
In addition, number 5.
I don't think it has to be in addition.
I think
Okay.
just number 5.
Just number 5. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Add item, okay.
Yeah, just-
Item number 5 with addition, no, okay.
No.
Item number 5, staff is to evaluate converting natural turf fields to synthetic turf fields with, except for the commons.
Great.
And then commission considers this recommendation a priority.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you, Carol.
Okay,
All right.
I got it.
And we still have our second. You're still good with that?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very
Okay.
much. I think we're done with discussion, and I'd like us to vote now. All right, everyone, go to your voting pads. Manny, did you want to pick these up?
All right.
Lit.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, in regards to getting that done. And thank you, audience, for hanging in there with us. It's just important we get our motions correct, because this is a record. All right. What's our next thing here? Are we ready to move on to our senior center naming procedure? Okay. There you go.
Yes, Chair Herron and Commission, we all know that our city opened our original senior center at Santiago de Compostela Church in 2002 with about 25 people at that facility when we opened. Loretta was part of the 25. We moved to City Hall in 2003, where the participants named the facility the Senior City Clubhouse. Now we're moving into our 100-year home, and the seniors are very excited about that and are all wondering how we're going to be naming the facility. So as part of a city council agenda item in April 18th of 2017, which was a broader discussion about the Civic Center in general, we put to the city council how we would like to have the senior center named, and that would be to have the seniors themselves help in that naming process. We'll start in January to do that, and January of 2018, we'll do a survey of some type. We'll come up with some recommendations that we'll bring back to you, that then you will do the same thing you've done tonight with the fields and our moving to turf or not to turf, and give us a recommendation of a name to take forward to council for their final approval of that particular name. So we just wanted to give you an idea of how we were hoping to move forward with this and to get a yes or no and a blessing for that.
Part a blessing for the name.
Blessing to have the seniors take part in the beginning process to name their new home.
Any discussion we want to have on this?
What about even some sort of like contest, like you do with the calendar or something too? Something
It would be a survey / contest / we would make it, it's recreation, so we would make it a lot more fun than just turning the name. Yeah, definitely, right.
So you're not looking for input from us for the names? You're looking
No.
for...
We're going to bring you a recommendation from the seniors. You'll choose the name that you all think best encompasses what they're going to be, their new home is going to be like, and then that recommendation will go forward to council for their final approval. So this is the process we're asking all of you if you're all right with us.
Need a motion?
Yes.
Can I offer, I think this is all very well and good. However, for those of you that attend council meetings on a regular basis, one of the things that happens is that a good 20 or 25% of the items always get moved to the next meeting or 2 meetings down the road, or maybe they get moved 2 or 3 times and whatever. And everybody's got a full plate, and the department's got a full plate, and things like that. But I think if we start it in 2018 and then go through the machinations of it and then put it in the council's hands, and that we could be maybe running into the opening of the actual senior center as that final decision might be made on time.
We've been told that this is a priority from the council to get the naming completed.
Right.
So the timeline was kept with that in mind, so that a decision would be made fairly promptly. Keep in mind that not only do we have to name the facility, but all the things that go along with naming that.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I was at the meeting.
Letterhead, all the other things. So,
like I say, I've heard it many, many times, and it's okay. What I would like us as a group to have some discussion on that at the beginning of January. We're not really totally starting from ground zero, and that can involve the senior advisory board at their meetings too, that there be some discussion about the process, the contest. I think, you want to include people, and I think we should have some discussion about that, it get people's attention to participate.
So the timeline would be that whatever we were going to do would start in January, but the discussions about what that will be going on quite a bit of time before that, because we're looking at putting things in the leisure times, we're looking at putting things in the senior newsletter. So the beginning date would be January, but all the discussions, which you're right to say, would be to go on prior to that point. Yes, definitely.
Good. In that case, we'll see who will donate a vehicle to the winner of the name of the... No, seriously. Let's do something besides just putting it in the leaflet and you get a $10 Target gift card. There's ways to get things like that. Huh? Right.
In addition.
Okay, all right. Winner of the seniors, of the center, not senior center, the center naming contest, you get to ride in the parade. Great. Okay. Should we then receive or approve or,
Motion,
you want a motion on this? Okay.
please.
As long as there's that commitment to starting before,
Yes.
okay. I'll make a note on that.
So I make the motion to
To start the process.
start the process.
Yes, thank you.
Gotcha.
What can we put in the motion to begin the process before it's a part of the process that will be unrolled in January?
Correct. Yeah, you can add that, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I make the motion for, as recommended here, as additionally that the process to establish how the names will be selected, the conversations be started before January.
How about the second half of 2017?
Second half of 2017.
That'll give us some time.
Yeah, that's
Because remember, the
perfect.
seniors
Yeah.
only meet every 2 months and things like that.
Correct, right.
I'll second it.
I was going to second it.
Okay.
Okay, so what I've got
Moved and
is
seconded.
start the process before the second half of 2017?
During the second part.
During.
During the second part.
Okay,
of 2017.
during. Okay,
Which would basically be the fall,
okay.
right? Yeah.
During the part of the process before process in January. Is that correct?
So the discussion for how this is all going to get done starts as soon as possible before 2018.
Okay, before 2018.
How about the
Okay.
methodology for the procedure or whatever you want?
No, that's enough.
We have a motion, we have a second. I think we've discussed this enough, unless someone has something urgent they want to add. So may we please vote?
Try it again.
All right. That is done. Okay, we're rolling along here. Recreation report.
Yes, so
lead us
exciting
in
and
that.
thrilling. It seems like a million years ago, but we actually had Bunny Blast last month. April 8th. Seems like so long ago. We've just been so busy lately. On to a lighter topic and something fun that we all were able to enjoy. This year's Bunny Blast, we did it a little bit differently. We had an all-inclusive wristband, which seemed really easy and pleasing to the people that were there. Parents only had to stand in line one time, didn't have to, purchase tickets over and over again or that type of thing. It was basically you purchase a wristband and it included everything, which was really nice. We still had some longer lines in those popular areas like the face painting and the balloon artists, but we continued to evolve that and try to learn how we can, circumvent that system. And I think next year, because it's so popular, we'll probably just have to double the artists and double the balloon people and do our best. But it's constantly evolving to try to meet the needs of everybody so nobody gets upset with the lines. But everybody was pleased. We had great attendance again. We had over 2,000 families attend the event at El Toro Park, so that was fun. And as Mr. Miller spoke earlier, we had our famous pickleball demonstration. The end of April, which was a lot of fun at Pittsford Park. We did something that we've never done before and converted those tennis courts into some pickleball courts. We're able to teach some folks from the community the sport of pickleball. I learned a few things, Bill learned a few things, and we had a great turnout. We had 25 people registered, and we probably had another 15 to 20 people that just attended on their own just because they were curious. So we got them all acclimated with the sport. Mr. Miller and Mr. Zuko did a good job of explaining the sport to people. They did a great job of demonstrating, and then everybody actually got to play. So it was a perfect day, not too hot, and we had a great turnout, and people were interested. We've continue to have the program for the open gym at the sports park, and maybe looking to change it up a little bit. We haven't quite had the success of attendance, but this is the time of year too where those people are actually out at the clubs playing. So if we can do something to kind of wrangle them in and bring them inside, or maybe try to meet the needs at a different hour, we're going to do that as well. But we're always looking to find something to find those people and bring them in and have a successful program. So that's what we have for the month of April. Looking forward to the upcoming month of June, which is right around the corner. June 3rd and 4th, like we already talked about, we have Dino Days, so please come out and attend that. We've changed the time to hopefully meet the needs of the people that were sweating last year, which was me. We've changed the time from 12 to 4 to 10 to 2. So hopefully it'll be a little bit nicer for people with younger kids and not so sweltering out there. That location really warms up. And then we also we'll starting our first movies in the park. June 16th we have Sing, so that's going to be super cute. We also have Go Skateboarding Day, our first summer concert series, which is going to be phenomenal. We're doing Rock Around the Clock, so we're going to do like a 50s car show. So if you know anybody that has a car club, please pass the word out. It's going to be like a 50s themed car show with 50s bands that will be there. And then also Friday Fever at the skate park. So between sports park, skate park, we're busy. And that's what I have, and I'll pass it to Vicki.
Okay. You know, there are a bunch of classic car clubs that meet at Fuddruckers.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't know the night.
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay, so
Well, it always used to be, yeah.
so just
They're
go on
not
there?
just clubs, they're independent.
Right, that's
mainly,
right, yeah. So
as
there you
opposed to
go.
clubs, yeah.
That
Yeah,
would
we'll
be-
have to look into that one. Nick just met with the car club that meets out at Denny's last week, and so he was able to meet with about 30 of the guys over there. So I know
Oh
that
my gosh.
there's going to be at least 50 cars. But I was just talking to him about Fuddruckers as well, and I should probably just contact them and see what night they meet.
Yeah.
Because that would be fun for them as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
In regards to Dino Days, I know we're going to prepaid bands. When does that, has it already started? Did I miss it?
did.
They were.
It's all sold out?
No, it's not all sold out. We just started our Lake Forest resident pre-sale for all of summer on Tuesday. So that's when Dino Days started as well. But we will have some wristbands available for commissioners.
Thank you.
But also spread the word as well, because I'm sure they will sell out. We are limiting the number this year to 1,500 per day.
Per day? What about all the people that came, how do I say this?
The outsiders.
It's a very popular event all over
Right.
to come to Lake Forest for Dino Days.
Right.
Are we letting people on social media know that you need the wristband? If you don't, you won't get in?
Yeah, Nick's
Because,
doing.
he's
He's doing a pretty good job about advertising that, and we are strictly advertising. Wristbands are a priority, pre-sale only,
Okay, all right.
et cetera, et cetera. We're still going to probably have the people that come from Barstow and Bakersfield and
Exactly,
LA and
they would
Vegas
be
and
pretty upset if they couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I just want to make sure that's addressed because I worry about these people. Okay, all right. Okay. Anybody have any comments for our report? Oh, thank you. I got ahead of myself.
That's okay.
Go.
Thank you. I only actually had one thing to bring up this evening. I wanted to give a little highlight of our second annual Special Needs Resource Fair, which was we actually had planned to be outside that day, but due to not rain, not heat, but due to wind, we moved in gale force winds, and we moved inside, and it was a great day. Really, going to Plan B really worked for us that day. We had lots of help from our Marine friends, which is awesome to have them be there. They were so helpful to the vendors who had originally anticipated to be outside, then moved inside. Standing room only as you walk through this sports park. Recreation center. We had 40 exhibitors, which was more than we had last year. We anticipate that we will have more again next year. And we also had, some great balloon artists that were roving. We also had the Glee. That was our entertainment, which was really nice to have them there. And then lastly, in regards to our special needs programs, we were highlighted in the April issue of Parenting Magazine for what we do for our special need programs, which was really nice to have. So we're so happy that we're able to offer these programs. We're so happy that we're able to help these providers network with each other to be able to see, hey, I have this client who needs this, or I have this person, this parent who needs help with this. Next year, the format for the Special Needs Resource Fair will be, the morning will be the resource fair, and the afternoon will be for the vendors only. We'll be having a networking event for them. We're trying to get some special speakers to come in specifically to talk about topics that are near and dear to them. So that's kind of a little highlight moving forward for that. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quickly was our summer registration, which did start on Tuesday. All our camp programs at the Recreation Center sold out in an hour. So blessing that we were able to sell out that quickly. It's obviously our programs are doing quite well. We do have some wait list for some of the programs. What happens sometimes, though, when they do sell it this early, that you have the people on the wait list are able to attend, as parents do find other things that they want to switch their children to. But it was within an hour, right? Which was, so each year we see that progressing for others. So that is my report this evening. If you have questions, we'll be happy to answer any of those for you.
Anybody have any questions for?
Yeah, please.
Okay, Jim, go.
Looking at just some of the numbers here and the comparisons, and I think one of the hardest things professionals, besides being a demographer, is to estimate how many people are standing on the lawn at any given time.
Yeah.
I know last year Bunny Blast had the 4,000, everybody kind of agreed. It was very crowded. For the majority of the time that I was there, seemed very crowded too. But Laura, you mentioned 2,000. You said families. Is that why there's like a 50% differential that you kind of counted families, or as opposed? I know you can't count everyone.
Yeah, well, we said families based on the number of wristbands that were sold. So say, for instance, we're not counting the parents. We're just counting how many wristbands were sold. So that's where that number comes from. Just the guesstimate again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And there may be a little bit lighter of an attendance, but no, for the most part, we're still seeing the same numbers, if not an increase. It's just the way that we're doing it now. We're trying to either do time slots or the wristbands, so it's a little bit easier where you may see a fluctuation in the revenue. It may not look so astronomical like it used to, but it's because we're trying to encompass everything into one and not have people wait in those lines and try to make it more accommodating.
I think it was very well done in that. Yeah. It's just the thing of trying to keep the same standards.
Right.
Somebody
else
sure. who's not that conversant, what's happening with this? We spent X amount and we only got half the people coming. Should we revisit it?
Right.
The people with the eye shades and the arm garters,
right?
Who do that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, one question. And then the other one, and on the skate park, there was, where'd that page go? There was a whole week at the end of April, like 10 days worth, that have no numbers, no attendance whatsoever.
At the end of April.
April 2017. April had more than 23 days. 21 days.
Right.
Okay, mine shows 1 through 30. It shows all my days.
Teen Lounge, maybe.
Huh?
Teen Lounge?
You might be looking at the Teen Lounge instead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is that vacation? Is that was
spring break?
Kind of why
yeah.
I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of thought. And then the only last comment: when you look at the emeritus classes, there are small amount of it towards the bottom of the page, that they're offered once a month, and you had one, maybe at best, 2 people go.
Excuse me.
At what phase would you review that and say, is it worthwhile to offer it?
I don't think that we would probably cancel. Emeritus classes, why they look at the numbers that they're reaching, we're not paying for the instructors to come here.
Right.
So if we get one senior that comes and learns about something and the teacher's willing to come,
Okay.
I think that we would still continue it.
Then maybe to ask the question the other way,
Yeah.
no instructor has ever made the comment of, this is really kind of a waste of my time.
No,
Come to
no. If they had, we would cancel.
Yeah,
Unlike a normal college course,
Right.
I honestly can't tell you what their minimum they would need to have to teach the class.
right.
So we haven't
Okay.
had that discussion.
That's fine, as
Yeah.
long as that's not over our head or anything.
Right, right.
Then great. If somebody wants to come and one person learns from it and they're willing
And
to
these
do
are
it.
more of a workshop scenario, so they're coming for the one. I want to learn about Facebook today. It's in one day. I want to learn about smartphone apps.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
for the
understand
one
that.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Are we promoting those within the senior?
Yes, they're in the senior newsletter. They are also in the Leisure Times.
Right.
And so IVC and Saddleback College have their own publications that those go out in as well.
Okay, but are we mentioning it at our Thursday luncheons?
I can check on that for you.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure if they are or not, but we can definitely check on that. Yeah.
If not, it's worth at least a, hey,
Yeah.
rah, rah, guess what?
Little shout out, right?
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any comments for the rec report?
Thank you.
Who does? You do? No? No? Oh, okay. Thank you, staff. I know this shows a lot of hard work. All these events that we do and everything. It's amazing, so thank you. All right, no director. Do we still have a report?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let's do it.
I have 2 items. The first item I want to give you an update on Village Pond Park. The domestic waterfowl have all been relocated to Pacific Waterfowl Rescue. There are some that have already been adopted by new homes. There are a group that are waiting right now, possibility of going to a local monastery in that area that has a pond, and they're very excited about that. If you would like to get information on where the waterfowl go to, if you go onto their Facebook page, they will contact you back within 5 minutes. I wanted to get an update for my Tuesday night meeting, and they contacted me back right away. They're very good at letting us know what's going on with the animals. The rest of the animals are still at the park. We were looking at starting to release the water into the storm system this week. I think there's one more permit that the construction crew is waiting to get. So as soon as they start letting the water release, then the other part of the relocation will start occurring with the turtles and the fish. Right now, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife is requesting that we keep the fish on site in tanks for the duration of the construction, so they can be released back into the lake. So we are looking at that part of the work going on, hopefully beginning next week. The turtles will be going to the Orange County Turtle. Trying to think of the exact name. They have Orange County Turtle Reserve, I think it's called, and possibility. We've been requested to have the turtles go back into the lake. We're unsure if CDFW will allow us to do that because they are not. They're domestic turtles. They're not natural to the lake itself. So that's just a little update on Village Pond Park. The other director's report I had for you was NRPA is coming up in September. If anybody is interested in going, I know that Jim has already requested, and I think Carol, did we already?
Yeah, she took care of it.
Yeah, registered him.
Give them all the stuff.
So if you're interested in going to NRPA, it's in New Orleans this year. NRPA is a great conference to go to. I've been in CPRS years and years and years, even when I didn't live in the state of California. But I would highly recommend, if you're able to go to this conference, the level of education you will get there and the presenters is pretty amazing, because you're getting people from all over the United States, which is it's really nice. So Carol gave you this information already? Okay. So that was my only other piece for this evening. And that's a close with the director's report from the manager for the director.
When you called the, what was it, the fowl rescue, they called back in 5 minutes?
Pacific Waterfowl Rescue, I went on their Facebook page and I messaged them, and within 5 minutes they had messaged me back.
Really? Did you tell them you were with Duck Dynasty or something?
No, I said that I'm the recreation manager who would like information for the council, and they right away got back to me.
Very cool.
But they have pictures of the waterfowl on there, and it's a very nice site. Yes.
Put them in the duck blind.
Yes.
Go for it.
Let's start our commission comments. Francisca, would you mind going first, please?
Sure. I just wanted to again point out what Vicki had already pointed out about the special needs camps and how that's being publicized in the magazine. I thought that was really cool and fun. I went to the special needs resource fair, and I was shocked when I saw it was inside. I was like, how are these kids going to react to so much simulation? But they seem to take it
They take it really well. We did have some of the kids that wore their headphones.
Yeah.
And so we were concerned about that also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like my wife's special needs teacher, she was amazed at the resources that were there for the families, and just the fact that it doubled in a year. And so we're looking forward to seeing that grow.
Yeah.
So just looking forward to that. And then Prelude in the Park. Really glad that that's moving to Pittsburgh again this year instead of the sports park. They were having that tournament at the same time. So looking forward to being able to hear the music this year. But other than that, that's everything.
I just really wanted to say that I appreciate all the hard work that you guys put in. I know we ask a lot of questions and such, but really appreciate all the effort that's being put forth in considerations and that kind of thing. And I think you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Jim?
Thank you. I think we had a 3-day run of events at the end of April, between the awards lunch, the leadership breakfast, and the special needs. All three very, very well done. And I think the senior resource fair going double plus the number of people that attended from a vendor standpoint is a huge kudo. And talking to a number of them, they echoed the comment that they don't see what they see in Lake Forest in other cities, or the extent of what is offered. So that's a very nice thing to hear, that it is paying off, it is noticed, and I think all of them were, like I say, at least half of them were new. They should be on every mailing list we have and made feel warm and welcome, and their membership in turn, in the case of some of the groups that actually have a membership, make them aware of like the dances and things.
Right.
Talking to one of them, they had absolutely no idea that existed, and it was like,
Was it one of our probably newer group?
yeah. But it's not like somebody that provides services per se, but they provide services, yes, but they have members.
Yes.
It's not just like a
Right.
patient-client
Right.
or a patient-provider type of relationship. And it's more activity-based and things like that. So just, again, ways to swell the ranks. And I always say families make decisions on where they want to live based on a lot of different factors. And the amenities that the city can offer may make a difference for somebody making a decision to go here as opposed to Laguna Hills or Irvine or who knows where, because they have the need for something like that. And the leadership You know, I don't know if that's a debatable item. We've done both breakfasts and lunches. And from what I can kind of remember trying to take tabs of number of people, we seem to get more people for the lunch. The way it is now. Now, the way it used to be, besides it being a lot more volunteer-oriented, which I think for those people it's easier, but the breakfast used to be the initial, typically, where you had some of what I would call civic leaders from either large businesses or some of the larger churches and organizations in the city, and now it has transitioned to a little bit more of a kind of a volunteer appreciation. And I don't know if that's something that can be revisited, and I think maybe it should be made. And I also think that the quality of the speakers is either very good or somebody filled, got breakfast or lunch and said a few words. And really there's not a lot of substance to what they're getting up and saying. So again, I don't know if there can be help provided or if that's just given, okay, you're the mayor this year, it's your responsibility to get a speaker, move forward. And
We can relay the message to the clerk's department.
okay, yeah, all right, okay. So,
Thank you.
But overall, it's a good thing, and it's a good thing that we should do. Went to as a couple of us did, to the pickleball day, and I think, I guess the question I would have in relation to that, we have X number of city facilities that have tennis courts. And I'm trying to think of the number of people in too many years living in the city that I've seen play tennis there. And I might be able to get them onto one hand if I really had counted well. Is there a possibility of, where there's always typically two courts, to convert one of them to a pickleball court? Is that something maybe we should have some discussion on? As staff to look at it?
There's been some discussion on that. What we would do in that case to move forward is, if the commission wanted us to think about that even more, then we would do outreach to the neighbors in the area that are around those courts also. Just get feedback from them, just as we would do if we did any changes at any of the parks.
Okay.
So
Could we maybe get a consensus to see if anybody else, minority or majority, we could agendize that to have that kind of a discussion?
You definitely can, yeah.
Okay.
If that's what you would like to do, yes.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay, well, we've got three, so we.
Okay, great.
Fine.
Okay, good.
All you need is three, if you understand how it works. So, then, if we can put that on, because I think it's worthwhile considering. Because I think if there's more of a formal program for it, if it makes sense to do, then people will come.
And other cities have done similar
Yeah. So,
similar programs. So we could definitely look at some of the other similar cities that have done this
okay.
and
Yeah.
use their benefit of what they've already accomplished.
Great. Yeah. Why plagiarism is what the sincerest form of
Exactly.
flattery is. It's great. Nothing wrong with that. Budget meeting was, it was kind of interesting, but at least there were some, new ideas that came forth and things to look at, which was, nice to see, as opposed to rehashing some of the things that have been going on for, a number of years. So there were some fresh ideas. So I think that was a very positive thing. And then, I can't even read my own writing. The last but not least, it was kind of deja vu from 2014 in the sports park when ground turned up on the hill there. That means it's really going to happen one of these days. And I think Stephanie put on a great program, and it was great to see a lot of people and a lot of staff, a lot more people than honestly thought would be there.
Oh, well, we thought the same thing.
Yeah, it was a huge
That time of the
attendance
morning.
and
On
things
Friday.
like, yeah, and you know, it was very nice, and it's now trying to visualize it with buildings standing there. That couple of other quick things to maybe look at putting onto our radar screen before. I'd like to again get definitive consensus, even though I think we got it before, to agendize the tournament policy. There's a lot of things here I think we need to have a discussion on that can help the city. Okay. Okay, we have majority consensus on that. And then the other thing that kind of goes along with not only our parks, but call it things that very few other places have, be nice to have in one of our facilities, not the sports park definitely, but maybe we could debate that, a water feature. Some kind of a water feature, which is very rare, few and far between. They're immensely popular. The other thing along that line, which is, I think, double bang for the buck, I came across a company, their name is Vortex, V-O-R-T-E-X,
Yeah.
and they are the fire team industry leader in apparatus for inclusion for people with special needs. And that would be, in my humble opinion, a great ad, and maybe then even considering somewhere like Pittsburgh Park, where you already have the more inclusive play area, to put that right there, which doesn't mean that non-special needs people couldn't use it.
Oh.
But, and again, I'd like to raise a hand if somebody would like to join me. Maybe we can get that in our wish list. Yes, no, maybe? Okay, thank you. And to staff, thank you for everything you do.
You're welcome.
It makes it really good. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Victor?
It's always challenging to follow Commissioner Rosenberg's outstanding presentation. I mean, we can sell tickets and probably could make good revenue, you know. But thank you for all what you do. I had to put that little plug in here. I'm not as wordy, though. I'll try to keep it right to the point. Thank you. I just want to make a comment on the naming of the senior center, and I know that this is far off into the future, but philosophically, I like to make a comment from my own experience as a professional in the recreational area, and understanding that I am a senior. I guess we define a senior by age, I suppose, but I think once we reach that era, I do feel uncomfortable being called a senior, to be frank about it, and I've already surveyed a number of my peers who would prefer not to be viewed as a senior, and I would appreciate you take that input seriously as you're looking at the naming, soliciting input, certainly from the community. Would prefer we keep away from that label, because I think it has a connotation today that is not well received by a number of folks, including myself, because I don't view myself as a senior. I'm an active adult kind of person. So if we can be somewhat thinking outside the box, if you would, and maybe come up with some original thoughts about that after you're soliciting input. For example, I'm very comfortable with adult activity center or some type of descriptive term that would focus on what we do at that age bracket, because we have opened up a number of activities and want to self-actualize into the next stage of our lives when we look at retirement, or we're finding ourselves in our formative years, since we as Americans work all our lives to get to that point of fantasizing what it's like to retire and what we're going to do with our time, and can we afford to retire and all that nice looking stuff. So from a lifestyle, I would like to give you my input of how I see this, and based on input, I've also have solicited from my neighbors and thoughts about being at an age of 55 or more, although I'm beyond that, like some of us, right, for the most part. But it's all in the attitude. It's all on the head. Okay. So I wanted to share those comments with you as far as weighing that this is an important. This is important how we label this, so we send the right message, and thinking in terms of from a marketing perspective how it's received, and what kind of image do we want to portray for our elderly or our adult population, because we are talking about adults here, and recognizing the who they are and what kind of profile. So I wanted to bring that comment to my comments. Any update regarding Whispering Hills that you can comment on at this point?
I have not heard of any update.
I mean, I pass Whispering Hills every day, and I still see the fence up, which is nice. I mean, it kind of camouflages whatever is going on behind that fence. But at the same time, I was talking to a number of residents that I run into at various functions, and they, of course, ask me about, well, what's going on? Is there any update or any kind of progress report? I'd like to suggest that perhaps at our next commission meeting, if we can get an update.
I will relay the information to Director Wasserman.
Yes,
if
please.
there is an update to be given.
One.
Correct.
I'm assuming we haven't heard anything because there's nothing new to report.
Correct.
So that's a correct assumption. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind just finding out, well, what is the go-forward plan when we will hear back something, and what's the balance of this year look like as far as what we can expect, I mean, from a progress standpoint.
That would come back to you at the June meeting, which would be the end of our fiscal year.
Okay.
So.
All right, I like to put
Yeah.
that into the thinking process as part of the
I'll-
director's report,
yeah.
perhaps for the June agenda, if that would be appropriate.
All right.
Yes, I went to the string of activities, not as many as others have. I mean, I try to get out to as many as possible, particularly the volunteer award function that we had, which was just great, which I represented Loretta. Thank you. And but that went very well, to recognize individuals for their contributions and volunteerism, and the breakfast went very well as well. It's always good to network with folks you typically don't see, and it gives you kind of input from the community of what their thoughts are, and meeting a number of different folks who work here and who have volunteered their time. I do want to put a comment in. I brought this up some time ago, and I still want to circle back to bring it up again. As a Army veteran myself, I like to have the city kind of take a look at if we were to do some things regarding the veterans that live here, which is quite a number of them, as a matter of fact. I'd like to see if we can come up with something that would make sense and be attractive, whether it be a veterans fair or some cooperative kind of activity with other organizations. Doesn't have to be the city of Lake Forest by themselves, but I'd like to see if we can come up with an activity or program that we can offer maybe this calendar year, if it's possible, or if it's not in the budget, maybe we can figure out how to work around it. So I'd like to suggest that to the staff, to see if we do something, what would it be like, what would make sense, focused on our veterans for the most part, and maybe some of our disabled veterans. I mean, if you're a veteran, you're a veteran, so maybe we can be inclusive to all veterans, men and women, all branches. So I like to bring that up as a thought. And lastly, Heritage Hill Historical Park. We're rounding off our children's programs, and for the summer, we're going to pick up with the Halloween activity, and is there any changes regarding that particular programs compared to the previous years? Can you comment on that?
No, Nick and I met with the folks over at Heritage Hill. We met with Bradley, and everything will remain the same for next year.
Okay, great. Are you going to run it for 2 days, or
We'll still have it for the 2 days.
is
yeah.
that further discussion?
Well, it'll be the 2 weekends. So
2 weekends, I
Yeah.
meant, yeah.
It'll be the Saturday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Christmas time is our premier time, and there will be some changes there as well, because we're going to be extending the program over a longer period of time, and that's yet to be determined. So, well, we're excited about those programs at Heritage Hill. Other than that, that is all I have. Thank you.
Your comment on the naming of the structure, the senior advisory board themselves, I would say 4 of the 5 that may not have really expressed that well are on the same. I'm sorry. 4 of the 5 have verbally expressed it various times, are on the same wavelength of that.
My comment.
Very conscious of it. So.
I'm tuned into the community.
Yeah, no, and you're right, and I feel the same way, that this is something we want people to come to, and the kind of people we want, regardless of age, don't consider themselves to be a senior. It has a connotation in that. And just a quick add to that with the senior advisory board who do a bang-up job, but they only meet every 2 months, which is fine. I would like to suggest, just like we have the ACT people, they come monthly, which I think is very beneficial, is Senior Advisory Board met this month. They should come then to the commission meeting the same month that they meet.
Correct.
As opposed to coming
It was once a quarter.
next month after they've had another meeting, but commenting on something not 2 months old and things like that.
Right now, they're scheduled to come quarterly, but we could have them come quarterly at the meeting after their meeting. Does that make sense? Or do you
Well,
want
I
them to
think-
come every time?
I think they should come, and we need to then, because we kind of set some of the standards for them, again, to agendize that, to do it, I think they should come after every meeting.
And if that's what you would like, if that's your recommendation, if the rest of the commission would like that as well, then we can do that.
Are we looking to get agreement now?
I would, hand raise would be wonderful. That's an easy one. All right, perfect. Then we'll put it into motion. Yeah. Yeah,
Well, then another member of the committee can come. Give the report. And I know that among the 5 of them, there are 3 that I definitely know that drive, and the 4th I think does also. And that's fine. Then they just know they're going to be the designated.
yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
My turn now?
Yep.
Thank you. Wow, great comments, everyone. Thank you for the pickleball demo. I was there. So excited to see all those people. They're all great about it. Looking forward to Dino Days. Prelude in the Park. Did we get a stage?
Yes.
We did. Thank you.
I'm sorry, what part are we talking about?
Prelude
Pittsford.
in the Park at Pittsford. And I'm glad we got a stage, because that was
Enjoy
And
it for me.
Huh? Anyway, we'll talk off. Anyway, okay. Civic Center grand opening. I got to be there. I'm grateful for that. Budget meeting was fine. And I got to go a little bit for the senior volunteer luncheon. I'm going to piggyback on what Victor said in regards to veterans programs and such. I'm just going to tell you what Tustin has done is they have any new development, they name streets after veterans. I don't know if we have any, I guess, what is it, fallen veterans, is that the correct term? I don't know. But that's something to consider, and I think it's a nice way to honor them. Anyway, just throwing that out there.
Would that violate our naming code, even though it's a street, not a city facility?
That would be a Public Works
Yeah.
question, but we could ask that
Yeah.
question for you.
Would you?
Yes.
I just thought that was such a nice way to honor them, and what Tustin does is like her name Dawn, we all know Donna. She'll pick one weekend and let everybody know, hey, you know what, we're going to have a little ceremony to honor this veteran, and she lets everybody know that's on that street why it's called that street, and she does a little, like a little flag ceremony for them. And it's kind of nice, and she invites whoever is still, family or members that are still around to come. Just telling you, that's how Tustin does it, and I thought it seemed very nice. Also, Tustin has invited us to the chili cook-off, which is the first Sunday in June, and I know it conflicts with Dino Days, but once again, if anybody wants to go, we are officially invited as park commissioners. I'm helping out. I'll probably be judging, too. I don't know. Chili. It's in downtown Tustin. Downtown Tustin, yeah.
And you get to park in Lake Forest. Have about 40-some thousand people there for that. Yeah. No.
Actually, since I volunteer, I do get VIP parking. I don't know.
I would go.
You had VIP parking. Well, I don't know. I could put you in touch with Tustin, and you can work that one out by yourself, okay? Oh, okay. Also, the reason I missed the Special Needs Resource Fair is because I went to Sacramento for my semi-annual California Commissioners meeting, and we all know it as CAPRCBM, which is a mouthful. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick legislative update. AB 18 was proposed by Assemblymember Edward Garcia. Most of the money will go towards water projects and land acquisition, and parks will receive very little money. So that's the update from Paul Romero, who is our legislative guru. And then also, he mentioned that federal legislation, currently it's all about the budget. So that's your update on parks and politics, I guess. All right. And then in regards to, because of going to CPRS and everybody sending us stuff, by the way, Carol, thank you again for forwarding all that stuff. This one group, Accent Fitness, I know they've been around, but I have not personally seen them, but they feature fitness, or what do you call it, almost playground fitness equipment for seniors. And I had not seen it before. Like I said, I've heard about it, haven't seen it, but I would love if we could do something here. I'll pass it around so we can look at it. Keep that in the back of your mind. If we ever have an opportunity like that, we should look into it, because I think it's a good idea. I'm passing it around. Yeah, couldn't hurt. So there you go. And staff, thank you for everything that you do. I know we've already said it. All of us have said it, but we really do mean it. And I hope you pass it on to everybody else down the line. Okay?
Definitely do.
All right. And with that, I'm saying we're done with our meeting. Thank you all.